What is up, guys, and welcome to part 2 of my massive CGC graded card return. We are hitting up the second tower of slabs that I have over here, and I'm going to show you guys just what we've gotten back. I'm really excited to go through these, the second half here. I'm really excited to start getting these listed, but man, this is going to be a process. This is going to take a long time. We've got 72 total cards, so I think last time we went through 36, this time we're going through 36. We'll do the same format. I'm going to start with the lowest grades first and make our way to the higher grades. Just kind of go through like we did before. So if you enjoyed this video, if you enjoyed the last video, if you want to see more videos like this, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. It really helps me out a lot. Let's hop into the cards. All right, let's do it. First card we have is the Karen's Umbreon. Now, this got a 5. It definitely has a lot of damage, but it is a pretty high value card, even in a lower grade like this. The Versus series is one of those series that I really want to start a binder of. It would take quite a long time to finish it and quite a bit of money because some of these cards are quite expensive. I would like to try and get it near mint as well if I could. But yeah, this card is super awesome. Karen's Umbreon. Absolutely beautiful. One of my favorite Umbreon cards, and it's got that E series look to it, which is just iconic, really cool. All right, we got the big boy Snorlax, got a 6. I think this just came down to, again, surface scratches, hollow scratches. It's got some edge wear and stuff as well. I was maybe hoping it would pull a 7, I think, when I submitted it, but unfortunately, it got a 6. The big boy got a 6. We got another 6 here, the Dark Gyarados. This card, I believe, has a dent or a binder dent or something in it, and that's why it got a 6, something that I missed when I originally submitted it, unfortunately, but hey, that happens. I mean, we saw a bunch in the last video that I missed as well, so. Okay, we've got 2 of these. We got 2 of the Shining Coro Mew. So this was a promo that came out in the Coro magazine, or I guess this says comic, but I think it's a magazine. And probably my favorite Mew card. It is gorgeous. I love these cards so much. And the holofoil pattern goes all the way across the card. It's got the holofoil pattern in the artwork, but then it's got glitter that goes all the way across the card. These are some pretty high value items, even in a 6.5. And they definitely had a lot of edge wear. The centering, especially on the back, you can see the centering is way off. But the front, honestly, the fronts look pretty nice, and if you just had these on a shelf or whatever, they would look pretty good. So we've got two 6.5s. Both of them are going to be sold just because they're not a higher. Hopefully at some point I will get a near mint copy of that. Maybe when I go to Japan next, that'll be one of the cards that I hunt for when I'm there. We've got a Rocket Zapdos. I was really pissed off about this card, and I think I still haven't figured out what's wrong with this one. This was one from the collection that I thought, man, if I sent it to PSA, I would probably get a 10. And I still haven't been able to find or figure out what the problem is and why it got a 7. It might just come down to surface scratches, but honestly, the holofoil doesn't even look that scratched. I have no idea. It's a gorgeous card, really cool. We saw a reprint of it in Celebrations. This is the original, obviously. Very cool card. Unfortunately, it got a 7, and I'm going to have to keep looking at this card to figure out why, because that is a mystery to me. We got a cool promo. We got Dark Persian. Cool thing about this artwork is you can see Giovanni's eyes really faintly in the holofoil pattern, which is pretty awesome. And I think this got a 7 mostly because of holofoil scratches. There's quite a bit of smudges and scratches on the holofoil, and otherwise I thought it looked pretty clean. So 7 is just about right, I think. That makes sense to me. All right, we've got some Japanese cards coming up. We got the big turtle, the big boy. We got Japanese base set Blastoise in a 7. This is pretty awesome. Super happy that this... Actually, we got a base set 5 Blastoise before in English. This one, we got a 7 in Japanese. But really cool. You can see about a half swirl there off the back. And overall, looked pretty clean, but definitely has enough edge wear to warrant a 7. This one was weird. I'm not going to dig for the English version of this, but we have the 7.5 Dark Charizard, CGC 7.5. Now, I actually thought this card was going to get a much better grade than this, and there must be something There is a couple of pretty deep scratches at the top there. Probably. It looks like there's just some micro scratches on the back, which probably affected the surface grade. But I thought that this was going to be much better even than the English one, but it's got to just be surface stuff. It looks like there's a pretty decent scratch there too, unless that's on the case. But yeah, it must be just some surface stuff that I didn't see my initial time around. Still very cool card, that Dark Charizard. Glad that I'm going to be adding the English version to my personal collection. We've got my favorite Scyther card ever, I think. There's a really cool Scizor card that I like a lot, where he's like a silhouette and he's charging, you know, an enemy or whatever. Very cool card. But I really like this Rocket Scyther. I think it's a very badass card. And I think we have 2 of these, maybe in this stack actually, but this is a really cool card. Love it a lot. Love it a lot. One of these came from my personal collection. One of these came from the collection. So well, I don't know which is which, but I'll probably keep the higher of the 2. We have a base set Zapdos in a 7.5 near mint plus. Definitely very iconic, very cool card. I wish that the holo pattern was a base set 2 holo pattern. that's the one thing about base set that I really don't like. I love the base set 2 holo pattern. It's so much better than the base set holo pattern, in my opinion. That when you look at a base set 2 versus a base set, when I go back to base set, I feel like it's super, it lets me down a little bit. It lets me down a little bit. All right, we got Muck from Fossil. This one looked particularly clean, so that's why I graded it. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have graded it if I thought it was going to get lower than a 7 or an 8, but it does look like there's a pretty significant scratch there that I must not have seen. Definitely a little scratch there on the end of Pokemon as well. You can see a little white scratch on there. So a couple things I didn't see when I sent them in. And yeah, otherwise, 7.5 Muck. This is a personal collection item. Smeargle. I sent this in just because I really like the holo pattern on this. It's everywhere. And Smeargle's such a weird Pokemon. It's like every time you turn around, Smeargle's getting some really cool artwork. Like he got a really cool artwork, I think, in Fusion Strike or Evolving Skies, one of the 2. He's just an interesting Pokemon. He's got a lot going for him. It's a very cool design, having his tail be a paintbrush, and I don't know. It's really interesting. It's quite odd. But I graded it just because it was one of the nicer looking WotC Holos in my personal collection, so I wanted to send it off and get it slabbed up. We got the other Rocket Scyther. This one got an 8. So this one I'll probably be keeping from my personal collection. It definitely was the original one from my personal collection. Honestly, I don't know, but super happy that it got an 8 because I just really like the artwork on that card a lot. We got another pre-release. This is a Misty Seadra pre-release. You see there. Another card that is widely available and still available, I think, in very good conditions. Like possibly, I don't know if these came sealed, like in a pack or whatever, but yeah, you can get a lot of these. But I wanted to get it graded because I thought it looked pretty clean, and it was. I got an 8. Near mint. It's pretty awesome. The only first edition holo in this batch is this first edition Dark Slowbro. I love it because you can see the Rocket Grunt in the background. Super cool. I love the green and the purple. That's always a good combination. And it's first edition. And it was pretty minty looking, so I wanted to send it in at like $12 grading or whatever and get it graded. Dark Charmeleon. I'm still hunting for a 9 or 10 Dark Charmeleon. I sent this one in because I thought it looked really clean, and it came back an 8. So definitely not as clean as I was hoping it was. There is a bit more edge wear than I expected. It's the cleanest one I had at the time. I wanted to send it in and see what it would get. The 8 is still the highest we've gotten of this card. Hopefully someday I might just have to buy a 10 at some point because that might be the only way that I get a 10. All right, Dark Blastoise, my favorite Blastoise artwork, one of my favorite Blastoise artworks, and just gorgeous. We got a swirl over here on the right, and we got an 8 here on this near mint Dark Blastoise. Gorgeous. English. So right now I have a Japanese 8.5, an English 8, and an English 7.5. So I'll probably be selling the English 7.5 and 8 and keeping the Japanese 8.5. That's probably my current plan with those cards. We've got a Gyarados from base set, 8.5. That's pretty, that's a pretty high grade for a base set that came out of a collection that was in a binder for like 20 years. So I'm pretty happy with that. We got an Electivire Level X. This was one of the more modern cards that came in the collection. This and the Empoleon from the last video. Glad this got an 8.5. That's pretty cool. The Level X's I think are really cool. There are actually some cards that I'm looking at picking up Level X's in Japanese because you can still get them for a pretty decent price on Bai. But don't tell anyone I told you that. We have an Ursaring from Neo. This is an 8.5. I feel like you don't see very many Ursaring holos. I think there are a few earlier on, but as we've progressed in and gotten more generations, Ursaring is kind of one of those Pokemon that's fallen by the wayside. But I really like Ursaring. I think it's a really cool Pokemon. I prefer him over Donphan. But yeah, super cool holo. I thought it was cool. Very clean. A couple of Japanese cards coming up. We've got Dark Vileplume. Very nice swirl up there. And an 8.5. Very clean. We've got a Hitmonlee. Hitmonlee from Fossil. Look at the holo. Holy buckets. There's like not a just millimeter that doesn't have holo on it. Oh my god, it's so gorgeous. We've got an 8.5 Hitmonlee. Got another Dark Blastoise, but this one is a non-holo in an 8.5. It was super clean. It was a Blastoise. I thought I would send it in and just see what it got, and 8.5. You know, I am not disappointed in this whatsoever. I think this is appropriate, and it's a cool card, so that one will be for sale as well. Again, one of my favorite Blastoise artworks. Oh, this Mewtwo's so cool. So we have the Rockets Mewtwo. Another swirl coming out the butt. I said this in the other video, but I don't know. I'm like attracted to swirls coming out of butts. I don't. It's like an unconscious decision that I keep doing for some reason. I keep buying these singles with swirls coming out of butts. But we have Challenge from the Darkness, Rockets Mewtwo, super cool card. It's interesting because I had to make the artwork section smaller to fit in the third attack, because this card has 3 attacks. Usually the cards only have 2 attacks, so it was really interesting that they had to kind of shrink the spot where they could add artwork. But really cool card. I like it a lot. That's one I bought as a single. I was hoping that it would get a 9, but I think maybe it's just too off center to get a 9, even though, yeah, it's probably just too off center. The rest of it looks really nice, but probably that centering that busted me. We got an 8.5. This came from the Neo file folder. I talked about it a little bit in the last video, but basically it was this folder that came with the starter evolution lines of Gen 2. And so we got the Feraligatr. We pulled all of these out of the same folder. The Meganium in the last video got a 9.5. The Feraligatr got an 8.5, a full grade lower. I'm not 100% sure why. There isn't any, I mean, it could be centering, possibly. There isn't any, centering on the front looks really good, though. There isn't any, like, edgeware or anything that I could see on any of them. I thought they were all pretty solid. We're getting into the 9s now. We've got Dark Golbat. I used to hate Zubat and Golbat so much because of the video games, because they're so annoying in the video games. But I have to say, I have a newfound appreciation for Golbat, mostly because of Crobat. Crobat in the video game is so OP. He is awesome. And honestly, Crobat has a lot of great cards as well. So I got a little bit more love for Zubat and Golbat just because Crobat saved the day on that evolution line, in my opinion. We've got a Brock's Ninetales. Very cool. We got that swirl up there. Kind of close to the butt. But we got that swirl up there in the corner. Really awesome Ninetales card. In a 9. That's another card that I bought as a single that ended up being a 9. So I feel like I've got a good eye for picking out cards. There's only one card that I bought as a single that had some sort of major imperfection. That was that light Arcanine. But the rest of them I bought as singles. I'm doing pretty well on them. Now, this is another one I bought as a single, Giovanni's Gyarados in a 9. You see a little swirl down there. Really like this card a lot. It's got like a blue sheen over the front to make it look like he's underwater. Very, very cool. Some of these I wonder, like if I cracked a couple of these 9s, like these for instance, if I sent them to PSA, would they get a 10? I don't know. I don't know if that's something I want to try and do, or maybe just sell and buy more raw cards. I'm not 100% sure. Well, I'll have to think about it. We've got Brock's Rhydon. We did have an English version of this, I think, in the other video, I do have a Japanese version, and this one got a 9. Very happy about that. We have another card I bought as a single, Blaine's Arcanine. I love Arcanine. He's one of my favorite Pokemon, easily. Easily top 5, top 10 Pokemon for me. And so I've actually bought a lot of Japanese Arcanine cards that I want to send out for grading eventually. But this card is just super cool. I'm very glad it got a 9. Love the artwork on that one. We have Skarmory. Skarmory, you know, I'm not a huge fan of Skarmory. He doesn't evolve. There's no pre-evolution to Skarmory. He just is like a set steel bird. He's cool looking, but he's not really my thing. But this card is very cool. I love the background. And I think it's fairly easy to grade Skarmory. Well, is it easy to grade Skarmory? I would think so, because a lot of this holofoil is dark. So you would think that it would be easier to grade Skarmory, but I don't know. Maybe this... I forget what I've heard about Skarmory. I forget, so I'm just going to stop talking and move on to the next card. We got another jungle card in a high grade. Really happy about this one. Nidoqueen got a 9. Very cool. You got that old school holofoil. And it's just a clean card overall. Just a gorgeous, gorgeous Nidoqueen. Another Pokemon I feel like is kind of underrated, just like Nidoking. I like him. This card I'm keeping for my personal collection because I love this Dragonite card. It's one of my favorite Dragonite artworks. Talked about this in the other video. We got that rainbow background, super colorful. He's looking all cute sitting there in front of the colorful background, and this one got a 9. Absolutely stunning card. It does have a little bit of edge wear, so I probably wouldn't get a 10 if I sent it in. But I don't know. I think you can get a little bit of whitening or edge wear on a card with PSA and still get a 10. You definitely can't with CGC, that's for sure. This is one of the heavy hitters from this collection that I sent in. This Dark Espeon got a 9. I'm super happy about this. Got a little bit of a swirl down by the head. It's just a beautiful looking card in my opinion. Now this card is super interesting. I don't know if I'll be able to show you. You might be able to see the silvering. There's some silvering on the edges of this card. And you might be wondering, well, if there's silvering, why did you get a 9? So apparently, and I Googled this, I looked it up, and Gary King Pokemon had responded to a thread on E4, which is a forum, a long time forum for Pokemon collecting. And it was a question about silvering, whether or not PSA cares about silvering. Apparently, silvering is a manufacturer issue. It's not damage to the card. It's something that occurs when they're manufacturing the cards, is this silvering that can happen around on edges and corners. At the time that he responded to this forum, he said basically that because it's a manufacturer issue, PSA doesn't really incorporate, like, they don't look at it as damage. So they don't mark your grade down much for silvering on the edges. So I'm assuming that CGC adopted the same thing, and because it's a manufacturing issue, it's not going to get docked down very much. It's not going to affect the grade very much, because there's really nothing I could do about it. It's not damage. So should it affect the grade? I don't know. It's an interesting little thing. I mean, it's definitely noticeable that it's got silvering, but yeah, just an interesting thing. Let me know what you think about that in the comments. Last but not least, we did get a 9.5. The Typhlosion from the Neo Premium file got a 9.5. So the Typhlosion and the Meganium got 9.5s. The Feraligatr, for some reason, got an 8.5. But super happy that this got a 9.5. Probably could crack it and get a 10 with PSA. Maybe someday I will try that, or I'll just sell it. Probably just sell it. All right, well, that is it. That is all 72 cards you've now seen of my massive CGC graded card return. Again, I valued this around $4,500 to $5,000 when we went through on my Twitch stream, actually, twitch.com/JavaAkuma. Sometimes we take a look at cards. I'm playing through Pokemon games and stuff right now, so definitely check that out if you're interested in watching some live stream gameplay of Pokemon. But we estimated the value of between $4,000 and $5,000, maybe $4,500-ish, and I should double my money, hopefully, on this collection purchase if I were to sell everything, which I'm not going to. There's going to be some stuff I'm going to keep for my personal collection, but super excited to have these cards back from CGC. thank you guys very much for coming by and hanging out with me today. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure you hit the like and subscribe button, and have a fantastic rest of your weekend, week, wherever we are in the week, wherever you happen to be watching from. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see you on the next video. Bye-bye.